O te amorangi ki mua, o te hāpai o ki mua. Kia tau I hōna mana ki tanga ki runga ki tēnā o tātaka. E hōno le he kororia he mau ngā rongo ki runga ki tamata o te whenua, e whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Aro haina ngā taina, e ngā tuakana, e noho nei I rungi te whakaro o tahi. Bye bye.
Please be seated. E ngā mana, e ngā reo, e ngā iwi o ngā haue whā, tēnei aku mihi māhana ki o koutou. Nau mai, hara mai ki te whare nei, te whare o te kāwana tianara, kei whanganui e tara. Kia ora mai tātou katoa. Distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Government House Wellington for today's investiture ceremony. I'd like to specifically acknowledge the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins, Leader of the Opposition, Mrs Laura Trask, Member of Parliament, Air Marshal Kevin Short, Chief of Defence Force, Mr Kerry Gregory, Chief Executive of Fire and Emergency New Zealand, Major General John Boswell, Chief of Army, Warrant Officer Class 1, Mark Matoa, New Zealand Army, Mr Russell Wood, National Commander of Fire and Emergency New Zealand, Mr Joe Harawira, our kaumātua, and Ms Puhi Wahine Tibble, our kuia. Tēnā koutou katoa. Hosting investiture ceremonies is one of the most important duties that I perform on behalf of His Majesty, the King of New Zealand. I'm delighted to bring together such an extraordinary group of New Zealanders. You have each brought pride and a greater sense of well-being to Aotearoa through your outstanding achievement and your service to our communities. On behalf of all New Zealanders, I extend my sincerest thanks to you for your contributions. After each recipient is honoured, I invite you to join with me in congratulating them. Ms Catriona McLeod will now summon the recipients and read their citations.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a Companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Dr Johanna Wood of Palmerston North for services to football governance. Dr Johanna Wood was chair and a board member of Central Football. She is the first female president of the New Zealand Football Executive Committee, having previously served as vice president. In her first year of leadership, the board achieved 40% female representation for the first time, which has since been maintained. She was appointed as the Oceania representative to the FIFA Council and was re-elected for a second term. She led the bidding for the hosting rights of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023, with New Zealand co-hosting the tournament with Australia. She has been a member of the Red Sox Club in Manawatu and is a life member of Central Football. Dr Wood was the inaugural chair of FIFA's first World Cup Legacy Committee. Dr Johanna Wood, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mrs. Matoa Amar of Palmerston North, for services to Māori and Pacific Health. Matoa Amar, ngā whātua, Ngāti Porou, ngā puhi, has worked in mental health and addiction services as a registered nurse and family therapist. She led specialist Māori and Pacific Island health services at Capital and Coast District Health Board. She is CEO of Te Tihi o Ruahine Whānau Ora. She has led and contributed to a range of innovations, provided guidance for health and well-being strategies for Māori, and led primary health initiatives. She chaired Te Āwhina Kohanga Reo, Hato Paora College Trust Board, and Te Kura Kaupapa Māori o Manawatu Board of Trustees. She was Deputy Chair of Te Rao Matatini Trust Board. Mrs. Ma is Chair of the Mental Health Foundation, Emerge Aotearoa, and Co-Chair of A Better Start National, E Tipu Erea National Science Challenge. Mrs. Matoa Ma, please come forward. Major General Evan Williams for services to the New Zealand Defence Force. Major General Evan Williams has served the New Zealand Defence Force for 38 years. From December 2019 to March 2023, he was Force Commander for the Multinational Force and Observers, MFO, in the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt. During this time, he suffered a personal loss and led through the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing ISIS-led insurgency. His leadership was key to increasing mission resilience, improving infrastructure, and re-establishing key operating arrangements. He developed trust with the senior leadership of the Egyptian Armed Forces and the Israel Defense Forces, facilitating dialogue and setting the conditions for agreement and compromise, including the signing of the Third Amendment to the Treaty of Peace. Major General Williams worked with the MFO's troop contributing and donor states to adjust troop contributions and meet budgetary constraints. Major General Evan Williams, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Ms. Dina Okabe of Wellington for services to the public service. Dina Okabe began her parliamentary career with the Advisory Committee on Women's Affairs. She was Private Secretary for the inaugural Minister for Women's Affairs. She began drafting correspondence for Prime Minister David Lange, leading to a long career managing and producing correspondence for opposition leaders and prime ministers, including Helen Clark, Jacinda Ardern, and Chris Hipkins. As manager of the Prime Minister's Correspondence Unit, she's been at the forefront of receiving between 20,000 and 30,000 emails and letters annually, identifying and directing the level of response required. Ms. Okabe is regarded for her well-written, personalised responses, particularly when faced with high volumes of correspondence regarding nationally significant events. Ms. Dina Okabe, please come forward. Mr. Edgar Spark of Paikakariki for services to railway unions. Edgar Spark was involved in the unionisation of New Zealand railways for more than 60 years as an advocate for improved railway workers' rights and employment conditions. He held numerous roles on the New Zealand Railways Appeals Board, including appellant advocate and salaried division representative. He was General Secretary of the Railway Officers Institute. Following his retirement from paid employment, he established Glimmer Business Services, a consultancy firm which was instrumental in modernising railway union membership administration. He's a member and former president of the New Zealand Railways Superannuitants Association. Mr. Spark is a member of the New Zealand Railway Welfare Trust Board. Mr. Edgar Spark, please come forward. The Honourable Maranne Street of Wellington for services as a Member of Parliament and to Human and Democratic Rights. The Honourable Maranne Street was a list Member of Parliament holding ministerial portfolios for ACC and housing. She has had a long-standing involvement in women's rights. She has promoted LGBTQI+ rights, including lobbying for the Homosexual Law Reform Bill, promoting the Marriage Equality Act, and co-chairing the Alliance of Gays and Straights in Nelson. She was involved in organising, lobbying for, and promoting the passage of the End of Life Choice Act, and was president of the End of Life Choice Society. She was Labour Party president, guiding the party through the first MMP election. Ms. Street has contributed to Commonwealth election observation missions in various countries. The Honourable Maranne Street, please come forward. Mrs. Diane Wilson of Bulls for services to the Royal New Zealand Returned and Services Association. Diane Wilson, Maniopoto, joined the New Zealand Returned and Services Association in 1976 through Ashurst RSA, and has since volunteered on committees and in officer positions simultaneously at local, district and national levels. She has served as president of 3 local RSA women's sections and district president of the Waikato Bay of Plenty District Women's Section. When Taupo RSA was forced to close due to financial difficulties, she helped transition its focus from a social club to support services, ensuring local veterans could continue to receive assistance. Mrs. Wilson is president of the RSA's National Women's Association and helps run the New Zealand Service Animals and Memorials Welfare Fund. Mrs. Diane Wilson, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the Queen's Service Medal, Mr. Neville Carter of Southbridge, for services to Fire and Emergency New Zealand and Rugby. Neville Carter joined the Southbridge Volunteer Fire Brigade in 1973. Since that time, he's attended 78% of the brigade's calls and 87% of weekly trainings. He's held a variety of leadership roles and is currently station officer. He's a member of the Southbridge Rugby Football Club Committee, volunteering his time to undertake coaching, refereeing, managing the bar and organising events. He helped establish the club's Golden Oldie and women's rugby teams. Mr. Carter supports the Southbridge School through groundskeeping and maintenance, and as a committee member of the Southbridge Reserves Board. Mr. Neville Carter, please come forward. Mr. Paul Clemens of Waitati for services to Fire and Emergency New Zealand and the community. Mr. Paul Clemens worked as a career firefighter and remains a member of the Waitati Volunteer Fire Brigade. He helped establish one of New Zealand's first peer support programs to assist firefighters following traumatic events. This program has since been rolled out nationwide. He was deployed to Christchurch following the 2010 and 2012 earthquakes to provide peer support to emergency responders. He's been involved in coastal conservation and restoration work in Otago and Southland and helped to create a new walking track near Orokonui. Mr. Clements has volunteered with victim support, Habit for Humanity, and special rigs for special kids. Mr. Paul Clements, please come forward. Mr. Gavin O'Donnell of Havelock for services to the rural community and conservation. Mr. Gavin O'Donnell is a member of a range of environmental groups in the Nelson Tasman areas. He's helped set up the Ministry for Primary Industries Rural Advisory Group and sits on the committee. He's held various roles with Federated Farmers. He's a member of the Nelson Tasman Primary Cluster Adverse Events Network, representing Fire and Emergency New Zealand and Federated Farmers. He is a volunteer firefighter, a Waimea Rural Fire Emergency Management Team member, and a Ngatamoti Volunteer Rural Fire Brigade Committee member. Mr. O'Donnell was involved with the planning and development of the Canterbury A&P Showgrounds. Mr. Gavin O'Donnell, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of the New Zealand Distinguished Service Decoration, Lieutenant Commander Louis Munden Hooper for services to the New Zealand Defence Force. Lieutenant Commander Louis Munden Hooper has been a key contributor in the development, delivery and integration of the new tanker HMNZS Aotearoa for the Royal New Zealand Navy. Lieutenant Commander Munden Hooper joined the Maritime Sustainment Capability Integrated Project Team in August 2018 as the Integrated Logistics Manager within the Capability Integration Team. He posted as the Commissioning Engineering Officer and represented the New Zealand Defence Force in the Republic of Korea throughout construction of HMNZS Aotearoa. He displayed commitment in problem solving to ensure that the range of systems were built to specifications to endure the ship's service life. As the sole leader on board at the time, he was pivotal during the COVID-19 pandemic in managing the impacts on international travel and integration of the commissioning crew. His leadership across all facets was key in allowing HMNZS Aotearoa to commence her sea service safely. Lieutenant Commander Munden Hooper was instrumental to the successful first 18 months of sea service through 2 deployments in the Indo-Pacific region, including the humanitarian and disaster relief mission to Tonga in January 2022, following the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai eruption and tsunami. During the United States-led RIMPAC 22 exercise, HMNZS Aotearoa provided fuel for ships from 8 different nations, furthering NZDF's reputation as a reliable defence partner for the Indo-Pacific region. Lieutenant Commander Louis Munden Hooper, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture has concluded.
New Zealand's honours system is our highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces those things that make our society better: service, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of excellence. To our recipients, it has been a privilege to hear your stories. You have each used your talents and abilities to improve the lives of fellow New Zealanders. In doing so, you embody the sentiment expressed by Martin Luther King when he said, "Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great, because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love." I urge recipients to wear your insignia with pride at every opportunity, knowing that you inspire others by your example. On behalf of the King of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you once again for your service to our country. Kia ora, e huhi mai nei I tēnei rā. Now you will see on the back of your program the national anthem words in te reo Māori and in English. I now invite you to join with me in singing them both.